Hey everyone, welcome back. So today I have a guest on the channel. This is Henri. Henri is an IELTS expert, and today what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about the IELTS exam and some tips and tricks for you guys. And then you guys are going to see a practice test in which Henri is going to ask me some questions from the speaking test, and you guys are going to get to see my unrehearsed responses. Now, before we begin here, Henri, can you just tell us a little bit about your experience with helping prepare students for their IELTS exams?
I've been preparing IELTS students for about 14 years in total. But that started off working at some companies, like oil companies, BP. They had employees who wanted IELTS training. And then I went on to teach the different courses and private students. And I've got my own language school, English House now. So I do IELTS courses there, both individual and group.
Awesome. Okay, so you guys, I'm going to put the link in the description to this video to Henri's language school. And if you guys want to check it out, you can get more info about the IELTS classes that he offers. Now, as Henri has just explained, he has a lot of experience with helping prepare students for the IELTS exam. So in this portion of this video, I'm going to ask Henri some questions, and hopefully we're going to give you guys some information that will help you better prepare for the exam and help you to feel a little bit more confident about what to expect. So, Henri, my first question for you, given your 14 years of experience with helping so many students prepare for this pretty scary exam, my first question is, what are some common mistakes that students tend to make on the IELTS exam?
Well, students are generally not prepared enough for
Hmm.
the first time. They may have high hopes in the first time they take it, or they think it's not so serious, IELTS I can pass it, or then another approach is that okay, well, I'll see how it goes. I'll just go for it and try it.
Hmm.
But it's pretty expensive these days, and not being prepared in terms of strategy and what not being familiar with the types of questions, often people don't do as well as they expected.
Okay.
Another mistake
Okay.
is that in writing, people often don't plan enough,
Hmm.
especially in the task two essay. They may start writing about something spontaneously in relation to the topic, and they say one thing in the introduction, and the body paragraphs kind of go off on a tangent, and the conclusion says something else. Could
Mm,
be like an agree, disagree question. And because they haven't really thought it out carefully, they just write what comes to their mind.
right.
Introduction, they might say, I agree with this statement, and
Yeah.
conclusion says, I disagree,
Yeah.
and it's all kind of mixed up because of lack of planning. But if they just spent 3 minutes to plan, make a clear point of view,
Yeah.
then they would have avoided that.
Right. Yeah. So I work at a college as an English tutor, and that's what I deal with on a daily basis. Students they're starting to write an assignment or some sort of completing some task and starting to talk about one thing, and but then by the end of the text, it's a completely different topic. Okay, so you guys make sure the first time you are taking the IELTS exam, take it seriously and prepare well. And then, like Henri just suggested, the second tip would be make sure you leave enough time to make a plan for the writing portion, and then make sure you read through afterwards and make sure you're not going off topic. Henri, based on your experience, how many times do students tend to take the IELTS exam before they get the grade that they're hoping for?
At least here, it often tends to be about 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
Yeah, so some people may be well prepared, especially those whose English level is already high.
Mhm.
And I've seen some people who lived in English speaking countries sometime or worked in a company where English is the main language, and they've gone and first time they could get eight just like that. But that's rare, very rare.
Hmm.
Somebody to pull that off. Usually it takes some trial and error to get the score they want.
Right. So, Henri, how rare is it to get a 9 on IELTS?
Well, from what I've seen, maybe 1 in 300. It
Okay.
could be generous,
Right. Okay.
but
So
it's
that,
pretty rare. Yeah.
okay. Thank
Overall, nine especially. Can be
you.
easier for reading and listening, but
Hmm.
for speaking and writing, it's not so common.
Okay. Now, you guys, I've already published 2 videos on IELTS, so I'll put the thumbnails here and I'll put links to these videos in the description. One of these videos is just a practice speaking test, and then the other one is a video in which I go over the format of IELTS and I talk about the structure that you can expect. Okay, Henry, so my last question would be, based on your experience, how long do students have to study for the IELTS exam, or how long does preparation tend to take?
Generally, the courses that I provide are 3 months long.
Mhm.
We go through writing questions, speaking, reading, listening, and also make an effort to improve the grammar and vocabulary,
Mhm.
especially IELTS related topics. And yeah, 3 months is a good time for preparation. Of course, it depends on which level the student begins from, but it should be like on upper intermediate level or intermediate at least. And whether it's what their target is, if they just want to achieve a 7 or if they're looking for something higher, 8, or if it's just a 6 to pass to get to some university.
Mhm.
Depends where they start from, where they want what they want to achieve.
Right, okay.
And nowadays, a lot of materials are available online. There are so many practice tests and so many IELTS websites. People provide a lot of advice. Of
Mhm.
course, some may be more relevant than others.
Mhm.
Uh, Over the years, the format has changed. Now you get computer delivered tests as well. They have certain advantages, maybe some disadvantages, but generally you can get the score quicker. You can have less people in the room. It can be less distraction.
Okay.
But it's a lot to talk about those different aspects of different tests. So something else could be talked about further on another date. But
And Henry, what about the format of the IELTS exam? Because
mhm,
I think there's a paper-based IELTS exam, and then you can take it a computer-based exam. Is that right?
that's correct. Yeah. So nowadays you can take computer-based exam. You come into test center. You pick a certain time of day. Mostly there are 6 days a week,
Hmm.
and it's a small room, maybe 6 people, maybe 8 people, one room. So it's nice like that. Less people in one room, less possible distraction,
Hmm.
and you get the test results within 3 days too. So a lot of
That's,
benefits.
yeah, that's good. That's,
And one thing to mention too is online courses, like I'm sure you provide, I provide those too. It's a great thing to take advantage of these days to study at home and at your convenience
hmm.
without having to spend time traveling somewhere. We
Hmm.
get good internet connections and can be a good way of studying.
Yeah, there's a lot of online resources, like you said, and especially with COVID, a lot of us are comfortable with online learning now. So, you guys, there's lots of options for you. And if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more content on IELTS, please write a comment below and let me know, and that will help determine future videos. So Henry, thank you for all of that information. Okay, you guys, so now we're going to move on to the IELTS speaking test. So Henry is going to ask me some questions now, and you guys are going to hear my unrehearsed responses.
Let's talk about where you live. Do you live in a house or an apartment?
I currently live in an apartment. It's a small one, but it's a nice one. I'm happy with it. You
What do
want
you like about your apartment?
You know, I really like that I live in a low rise. I'm personally kind of a claustrophobic person, and I don't like having to deal with having to take an elevator and go up like 40 floors. So that was the apartment that I lived in before was a really big one, and now I'm in a smaller one, and I just like that I can walk in and out of the building pretty quickly.
If there's anything could change about your apartment, what would you change?
You know what? It sounds maybe a little bit cheesy, but I don't think I would change anything. I'm actually really, really happy because I'm on the top floor. It's very quiet. I can see the water. And yeah, I'm actually extremely happy where I am right now.
Let's talk about colors. What's your favorite color?
Okay. Since I was a little girl, pink has been my favorite color. I just I just really love it.
Why pink?
I don't know. I think it's just a really nice, pleasant color. And I guess when I was a child, I was a bit of a girly girl and I liked Barbies and ballerinas and stuff. So a lot of that stuff tended to be pink. So I just really like the color.
What color car would you choose if you could choose any color car?
I think I would probably choose a black car. I think they look really sharp and a nice, clean, shiny black car is pretty cool looking.
Do you think colors influence people,
Do I think colors influence people? Yes, I think they
like
can.
their moods and
Yes,
emotions?
absolutely. Actually, so in Vancouver, we're kind of known for wearing a lot of gray and it's always kind of rainy and overcast. And I find that whenever I wear a bright color, people always comment and say, "Oh my gosh, I like it so much." Because we don't tend to wear a lot of colors here. And I think when people see others wear bright colors, it does brighten their moods.
Or what color would you never use in your home?
What color would I never use in my home? I'm not a huge fan of orange. I think orange doesn't go well with a lot of things.
Let's go to speak about music.
Okay.
Oh, what kind of music do you like to listen to?
I listen to a lot of different types of music, actually. So I like a type of music called progressive rock, and that was a type of music that was popular in the 70s. And I actually like music that's kind of high energy. So I listen to some techno music, I'd say, because I like to exercise. And that boosts my mood as well, listening to techno music.
How often do you listen to music?
Every single day. And actually, I find that when I'm feeling kind of down or stressed, I have to remind myself that music exists. And every time I listen to music, it makes me feel better. So every single day.
Do you like listening to music at work?
I do. Sometimes my workplace can be quiet because there's students studying everywhere. So I do find that when I put my headphones on and listen to music for a few minutes, it just elevates my mood. I do enjoy that.
What kind of music are most popular in your country?
Um, Pop music is very popular. So Taylor Swift, I don't think she's Canadian. I think she's American, but everyone likes Taylor Swift, it seems. And I guess, I don't know if you would call it rap music, but there's a musician or rapper, Drake. I think he's Canadian. People really like him as well.
So now we'll go on to the second part of the test, and I've sent you a topic
Okay.
to describe a long-term goal you would like to achieve. And you have 1 minute to make notes on that.
Okay. Okay, I'm ready.
You ready?
Mhm.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay, so the long-term goal that I'd like to achieve is actually to live in Europe for an extended period of time. So somewhere between, I don't know, three to 10 years, let's say. And I don't know, I've had this goal since high school, I'd say. I went to Europe for the first time, I think in 2009, and I just fell in love with the history and the architecture, things that we're kind of missing here in Canada. It's always been a dream of mine to just have the courage to move to Europe, yeah, for an extended period of time. And I think in order to achieve that goal, I'm going to have to obviously find employment that will allow me to move. So I'm finishing my PhD right now, and I'll be teaching eventually. So there are positions in Europe that I could pursue. So I think it would be fairly reasonable to get a job in Europe. And I set this goal because I think the world is such a big place, and sometimes we get caught up in our day-to-day life. And I would like to travel more and explore other parts of the world. And I think part of my life should be lived in Europe. So that's my long-term goal, to live in Europe for an extended period of time.
Have you told other people about this goal?
Yes, I have. I've told a few family members and they're very supportive. Um, they know that I like to travel and that I love going to Europe, so they weren't surprised when I explained it to them. I think it's going to be hard to potentially lose a super close connection to my family, but there's Zoom calls, there's FaceTime, there's many ways to stay connected with people while you're abroad.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. The part three, just to make a point here, often they are questions about society, about people in general, about even philosophical topics. So
Yeah.
it's meant to be the most difficult part of the test.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, quite unusual questions sometimes. So you got to be ready. And the examiner can make their own questions spontaneously.
Oh, wow.
Other parts, part one, part two, they just read out what they have on the sheet there. But
Mm.
in part three, they can make up their own questions and ask anything.
Okay.
But yeah, why do people set goals in life?
I think people set goals in life because everyone, or most people, I should say, have a desire to improve. Um, I think setting goals gives you a sense of accomplishment once you hopefully complete the task or meet the goal. And that builds confidence, and doing that over and over again, setting a goal and then achieving it, can shape you as a person, really, and give you a sense of purpose, I would say. But unfortunately, something that's coming to mind is I do think sometimes people go too far with goal setting, and I think we do have to be mindful of chasing too many dreams and setting too many goals, because I think there's a chance that the process can be kind of addictive, and we're always chasing something and we may never actually achieve happiness. So I think it's all about finding a good balance and setting goals and then achieving them, but then also enjoying the process and then being happy, working on being happy and satisfied after you meet those goals.
But do you think that people's goals are generally unrealistic?
I don't think so. I think it varies from person to person. I think from what I've experienced, I know people, who have set many goals, and I've been happy to see them achieve those goals. I personally have set goals and I'm in the process of meeting them. So I'd say the majority of people I know, they set realistic goals, but there are a lot of people as well who have goals, or they're not even really goals, they're just more desires, but those desires are, I would say, unrealistic. So they want the wealth, they want the fame, they want the fortune, but it's not really a goal. It's just kind of a dream. They think they can get it, but it's kind of not clear if they can actually.
Should parents interfere with their children's ambitions?
It depends on the ambitions, I would say, and the relationship between the child and the parent, I'd say. So, um, I personally think, like, if the child wants to do something that is maybe questionable, or something that's you know, maybe doesn't uphold certain values that what the family has, then I think the parents can and should intervene. But it's never, a simple yes or no question. So it depends. Like if the child wants to do something, but the parents just don't want them to do it for personal reasons or selfish reasons, then no, I don't think they should intervene.
And how are parents in your country usually? Do they encourage their children to have specific ambitions and try to
Mhm.
uh, influence their children to go a certain way in life, or do they just let them be free and do what they want to do?
I think that's a great question. And I think that's a super interesting cultural question. So In Canada, because we're so multicultural, there's so many people from so many different places, it's really hard to say what all parents are like. Whereas if we're in another country, if I'm speaking about maybe, I don't know, China or Japan, I think that there's a belief, whether or not that's true, I can't verify for sure, but there's the belief that parents want their children to either be this or that, and anyone who deviates from that plan is kind of socially ostracized, thought of as different. Here in Canada, because like I said, we're so multicultural, it's kind of complicated. But I would say people I know, like our parents kind of give us more freedom. They let us decide what we want to do with our careers. So I think we are more open-minded, perhaps, or maybe more liberal here. I'm not sure what word I would use.
Okay, thank you very much. That's the end of the speaking test.
Thank you. That was kind of hard.
Hmm.
Okay, Henry, so now that we're done the speaking test, could you give a little bit of feedback or just tell me and our viewers how I did on the speaking test?
I'd say overall, as is evident from your answers to the more complex questions in part three, you were able to deal with them very well, that you gave lengthy answers and you used various grammatical structures, a nice range of vocabulary to thoroughly explain your points of view.
Thank you.
I think overall you have a good chance of getting 9.
Okay. Okay, Henry, thank you so much for joining me today. That was really, really awesome. And I think we've provided our viewers with some useful information that will help them to prepare for the IELTS exam. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
I think that's it. Yeah. I hope what we went over today will be useful for all of your viewers. And one thing to keep in mind, especially with speaking and writing in IELTS, is generally it's safer to keep things clear and simple, even if you don't use such complicated vocabulary, even if you keep to relatively simple grammatical phrases, but you produce them accurately and you express your point of view clearly. That's much more valuable than trying to use all kind of complicated words and phrases, but making mistakes with that. Because
Mm-hmm.
even a few mistakes can make what you write or say unclear and sometimes even impossible to understand exactly what you're trying to convey.
Okay.
So it's simplified, just keep it simple and clear rather than complicated.
I'll put the link to Henry's website and his Instagram page in the description to this video, so you guys can check that out. And before we sign off here, just a reminder, please make sure you subscribe to my channel and turn on alerts so that you can get notified about my new content. If you enjoyed watching this video, don't forget to hit the like button and write a comment below. That's everything. I'll see you guys next week.